The rest of the process, installed the heatsink, okay? Again, popped them in, turned them 90 degrees. The documentation is right there in the Intel guide. I popped in the PCI card. I actually put it in the lower PCI slot, figuring, you know, dissipate the heat more from where the processor is. Again, nothing major there, just something that I decided to do. Looked at the power supply, hooked up the power supply, hooked up the SATA drives, both my DVD and that, to my SATA out ports on my board, which are right there, the little white things. Plugged in my power supply, my main one, and my one for the auxiliary power, not auxiliary, the additional power needed for the processor. Put the RAM back in the DIMMs. Secured the power supply with the bracket. I'm going to do a little bit cleaning up with the cables, move things out of the way. Although I'm not very anal about cable management, as some people might be. I just want to have a working computer. This is not really necessarily the fun part for me. So, but I make sure everything's kind of cleared up and cleaned away. And, you know, I could actually take off the back and snake the cables through the back and come up through those holes, and I could do all of that stuff. And, you know, if I build my own computer that I'm using for my personal use, that's something that I may do or choose to do. Again, the drive's really neat. They just snap right in, slide right in. DVD, same thing. There's a little pin, pops right in. Again, it's all so much easier than it has. So, let us see what happens. Let's pray to God that it starts. I've taken off both covers, so I'm hitting actually the little button because I know people had a problem with their toothpicks, and I know the case has had issues with that. So I didn't want to hit a power button and not have it make contact and not turn on and then have to take that off. So the moment of truth. And Houston, we have liftoff. Now, again, if I don't hear anything, that's good. I don't hear any beeps or anything like that. Now I don't have it hooked up to a monitor yet, but that probably tells me that everything is okay. And when I hook it up to a monitor, I'll get the BIOS. Now that's what I'm going to do next. I'm actually going to hook it up to my TV, and I'm going to walk through the rest of the installation of the BIOS drivers, all that kind of stuff. Then the operating system itself. Those might come actually a little bit later this weekend. I'm kind of sweaty after putting together this computer, but it's pretty simple, pretty easy, pretty cool. And now after this class, and especially after the stuff you've read in your test out sims and things like that, you're all ready to be super PC technicians. But to be honest, building isn't the hard part, it's the troubleshooting that becomes. So if I would have heard a beep or two, or if this wouldn't have turned on, then we would have had to go back through a bunch of steps to go do it. But, you know, some common things. I think a lot of the stuff that was discussed in Google Plus while some of you were building, you know, don't step away from it for a while. Don't get locked into one thing. Use the documentation. The other thing I'm going to say is when you build your PC, keep everything. What I do is I store all the stuff that I have, all the documentation, all the boxes, every piece I bought, I put it in the main case box. If it doesn't fit, I put it in a different box. I label when I built it, I label which PC it is, and I keep all of that. I don't throw anything away, nothing that came with the PC. And if you look at my basement, you would be seeing that that's the case. But in case something happens or I need to refer back to documentation, I know a lot of this stuff is online, and you can do that very easily and access it online, but it's just not something that I prefer to go back to the original case. And as you can see, the table has my documentation, little bowl with screws, my boxes, all opened up. And my wife will be happy because she will get her dining room table back. So I'll post these videos, and then the next video will come. We'll be hooking up to my TV, and I'll set up the tripod, and we'll go ahead and do the rest of the installation. I'll walk you through that. I hope you enjoyed. I hope these helped. Again, better late than never. Had to spend $300 on a new camera, but que sera. Have a good one.